Carol.
I'm gonna print this.
Okay, then,
It should be in there.
or if you want to email it to me, I can.
Okay, now she has a hard copy and she doesn't have to worry about the screen share part of it. All right, so open houses, step one is to, if you're doing an open house for the purpose of gaining more buyers, then you certainly want to have an open house in a very high traffic area. So that is one thing to definitely take into consideration. Is this a high traffic area or where I'm going to be able to put out plenty of signs? Some city ordinances prevent signs from being placed on certain roads. Now, in Round Rock, we have to have permits for signs. In Valente, we're not allowed to use signs at all. Some HOAs don't allow signs either. So you've got to first check with the HOA, check with the city, sign ordinances, that type of stuff, so that you know what your restrictions are for doing that open house. In order to really get traffic into an open house, you've got to have good signage. You've got to have good exposure, so social media exposure. Your preparation for an open house is not going to start the Saturday before. It's going to start Monday or Tuesday of the week before your, say, Sunday open house, okay? You want to pick the open house. That's typically what you're going to do on Monday. This is what I'm going to do, because you're going to have to go through, well, I can't do it there because I'm not going to be able to have signs on the street. I'm not going to be able to do it there because the HOA doesn't allow signs, right? So looking through some of that, you may find one and then discover like it's 45 streets into the neighborhood. Nobody's going to pass by here and see it. Right. So then you decide, okay, that's not a good place, because having the high traffic area, because you want to capture some people that are just driving past, but you also want to capture some social media places. So you're going to have a little bit of both. So you want a high traffic area, that's obviously good. And you want a place that you can put out plenty of signage. I would love to see you put out at least 10 signs whenever you're doing an open house, at least, because that's going to gather. Like, stop and think about like the builders, right? They don't just have one sign out. They've got a succession of signs. Tanya was telling us, and we could get with her about this, about some open house signs that like lead up to it. Oh, honey, stop the car. Ooh, can't wait to see this. You know, you just have 5 minutes. Like, each one has a different message on them. Yeah, so that they're really cute and they kind of build up a little bit of that suspense. And it's not just the same exact sign over and over and over again, you know, every 100 feet as you're driving down the road. Like it's maybe each open house sign has one word that creates the sentence. So people are paying attention as they drive to where they need to turn into the neighborhood, right? So think of ideas like that. You could go ahead and purchase those open house signs that have, maybe it's the one word sentence, right? And that is your brand every time you're doing an open house. I highly, highly, highly suggest that your open house signs look like your for sale signs, especially if you're farming a neighborhood. Because when you have, say, your face on your for sale sign, and then your face is again on your open house sign, and your face is on your car sign, people will then say, I see your face everywhere. Right? If you are farming a neighborhood and you're doing that, you've got your face on a sign in front of a house for sale, and you've got your face on these open house signs in the neighborhood, and they're seeing it on your car because you're in that neighborhood, maybe walking up and down, walk the dog, take your kid to that park to play, shop at that grocery store, stop at that Walgreens. Like, make sure that if you are farming that neighborhood, you are in that neighborhood. They are always seeing you at the places that that neighborhood goes to, right? Farming a neighborhood is literally about being there always. Okay. So on their, whatever their, if they have an HOA, whatever their HOA stuff allows you to do all of that. Sponsor everything that the HOA allows you to sponsor. Be at every HOA garage sale, community garage sale that they have. Do all of that. Be all of that so that they literally are always seeing you and you become the agent that owns the neighborhood because you're always there. Right? Maybe you have a shirt that coordinates with those signs, as in color, as in, yes, maybe your, if you've got a tag line, whatever that looks like, so that then coordinates with everything else, right? Had an agent, her thing was licensed to sell. She had the shirts, she had the signs, she had everything went with that license to sell thing, right? So whatever that looks like for you, mine as an agent was Common Sense. You guys all know that Common Sense is our LLC, right? That was my LLC. So that was my thing. It makes more sense with Common Sense. Yeah, cute. Anyway, so, or for a while I used It's Not Complicated with Common Sense. Whatever that looks like for you. But have that same something, even if it's just your face. If your face is the only brand right now, that's okay. Even if Kelly's got her signature, right? So even if it's just your signature, I think Kelly's signature is combined with her face, but nonetheless, those are there and they always see the same things every single time. And they are seeing them a lot and they are seeing them everywhere. So if you're farming, you're going to be really, really making sure it's out there. So your open house is going to be the same way. You're going to have lots of signs. You're going to make sure that they are easily getting to the place. You might choose to get those balloons and stick out in front of the house. You can buy sticks so that you don't have to have a helium machine. You can buy sticks that have, you tie the balloon into this swirly thing and it holds your balloon upright, right? So that, and those are really cute to put in front of the house. Maybe you want to put it where they're turning, anything like that. Know that those are available. I always had flags that said open house. For a while, I had those pendant flags, just the triangle flags that said open house. And then I ended up getting the banner flags that said open house. I would put my banner flag, I've already picked my house. I know where I'm doing my open house. I would put my banner flag with a sign and everything in front of the house, like on Thursday with some flyers. We'll get to that part in just a minute. Monday, you've picked your open house. You know exactly which one you're going to do. Tuesday, you're going to start working on your graphics. You know whether you're doing it Saturday or Sunday. Work on your graphics, get your flyer, get your graphics uploaded to social media, start sharing that out, maybe even create an event for it. Get your list of houses around that. You can go on to Espresso Agent. I believe RPR, you can get some of this. You want to identify who the renters are. So go in and pick, whenever you're picking, this is the list of homes in that neighborhood. These are the ones that are owner occupied. These are the ones that are not owner occupied. Not owner occupied is your lease people, right? Maybe their kids go to that school. Their kids already have friends in that neighborhood. If they were going to buy a house, staying here is comfortable for their kids. Right? They already know their dog loves that park. They're very comfortable here. Maybe they just want to buy in the same neighborhood. So choose whether you're going to do phone calls. Maybe you're going to do phone calls, postcards, and door knocking, right? You want to door knock the immediate area probably the day before or 2 days before your open house, like that street and maybe, maybe the side streets if it's really close to a corner. Maybe you want to just say, hey, I'm Lori from Classic Realty. Just want to let you know, I am going to be having an open house for the whatever their last name is over there at this address. And it might cause extra traffic in here. Just want to let you know to watch your pets and your kids that day because we might have a little extra traffic. Do you know anybody that's wanting to move here? Right? This is a good chance. If you know anybody that's wanting to move here into your neighborhood, send them by the open house to meet me. We're going to have food. It'll be a fun time. Right? If you are doing something like collecting for a food drive or coats for kids, if it's in the winter time, then you want to mention that at the same time. This doing an open house, people will come more if they are helping someone, right? So do an open house event, collect for whatever your passion is. Collect food for shelter animals, right? People love animals. If you are near a dog park, that's a great thing to do. Food for animals, or even money, you know, bed, you know, any kind of pet items, toys, beds, anything like that, right? If it's around Christmas time, maybe you want to do a Toys for Tots thing, bring an unopened gift, right? So these are just ideas of stuff that you can do to create an event, okay? So Wednesday, you are going to maybe go pass out some flyers. Wednesday or Thursday, maybe go pass out some flyers. Maybe you're going to mail out postcards. Your postcards to the non-owner occupied home would be something maybe along the lines of, you already love the neighborhood, why not own your home in the neighborhood, right? And then you're going to have your open house information. The ones to the owner occupied, pick your next neighbor. Pick your new neighbors, choose your new neighbors, anything like that, and you're going to have your open house information, right? This means I already know of somebody who loves, you know, goes to my kids' school. They love our neighborhood. They're my best friends. We play all the time. I love to walk with her, and I have to drive 2 miles to get to her house so that we can walk as the sun is coming up every morning. I could invite her to live in my neighborhood, and you know, we're 3 doors down from each other and we can just start walking right then. You know, whatever that might look like for them, they may know of someone who wants to live in their neighborhood. Our kids play together all the time. Our husbands like to golf together, anything like that. These are all like, they probably know their next neighbor. I highly recommend that you choose to do phone calls. Get on Espresso. RPR, I think, again, might have some of these numbers. Espresso just gives you the DNC so that you can flip through those. Espresso has an auto dialer on them. You can literally sit back with a cup of coffee or tea, whichever you prefer, and sip on that and let that thing just dial through on your computer and start talking when somebody answers. Otherwise, when the answering machine comes on, you start talking to the answering machine, right? I said machine. I know it's a voicemail now. I aged myself. Get on there and start calling. Hey, having an open house event in your neighborhood. This is the address. It's going to be this Saturday from 4 to 6. We're going to have a few snacks out there for you, but we're also collecting for the local pet shelter. They're having a hard time with food right now, so we're collecting some donations. Bring donations by if nothing else, but if you know somebody that wants to move into your neighborhood, have them swing by and visit. Maybe you want to relocate in the neighborhood and downsize. Whatever that conversation looks like, you're going to make those phone calls. Look for the postcard to come in the mail, right? Tell them, look for my postcard to come in the mail. They've heard your voice. They know you're a real person. You're telling them to find the postcard. That's another touch. I put it out on your social media HOA neighborhood site, so you'll be able to share that with your friends, right? That's 3 touches right there of where they're seeing this happen. They know to look for it on social media. They know that you're going to be sending a postcard, or maybe instead of sending postcards, maybe you just say, I'll be in the neighborhood on Thursday or Friday, whatever day you choose to do that. I'll be in the neighborhood putting some flyers out. Look for my flyer. I have something on the neighborhood site. Share that with your friends, right? This is 3 touches that you've already told them about. So they know to be looking for that. If it is a house on the corner while you're doing the door knocking, let me hit this real quick. If it's a house on the corner while you're doing the door knocking, that's going to be a really great place for you to put your sign. Ask them, do you mind if I put a couple of signs in your yard that day? That way you're not that realtor that just shows up and sticks signs in the yard. You got their permission before you did it. You're better than everybody else. You didn't show up 30 minutes before the open house and just stick a sign in their yard when they were planning to do their mowing, right? Now you've asked them for that. I'm doing it during this time. They know that sign is going to go there and they, okay, I'll get out there and do my mowing an hour before so that that sign's not in my way, right? They're planning for when your sign is going to be there, right? So you've been that agent that kind of gets their permission first, right? So Monday you've picked the place. Tuesday, you have done your graphics, gotten with Mackenzie. Mackenzie, you're welcome. They're not waiting until Friday to call you for their graphics anymore. Nobody in this group is going to wait till Friday to call you last minute at 4 o'clock. Oh, I need a graphic.
No, it's
Say
Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Mackenzie's like, it's 5 o'clock on Friday and now somebody needs something. So this group won't be doing that to you, Mackenzie. Anyway, Tuesday, you're getting your graphic, you're creating your social media event. You've decided on Monday, whenever you picked your house and picked out all of these people that you're going to call, the houses that you're going to target, whatever that looks like, get you at least 100 of people to call and flyers to put out or postcards to send, whichever one you've decided. You're either doing postcards or you're doing flyers, or maybe you're doing flyers to this set and postcards to that set, but you're calling 200 people, right? You're walking and knocking 100 doors and you're sending postcards to 100, right? So maybe you're calling 200, right? And make it an event so that you've got another reason for people to come by. So Tuesday you're getting your graphics and your social media stuff. You're getting all of that in line. You've identified on Monday. Tuesday, you're getting your advertisement in line and all of that. Wednesday, you're going to start making those connections. If you're mailing postcards, Wednesday is your very last day to get those in the mail. So you better have had them printed and cut and stamped on Tuesday, because if you're trying to do all of that on Wednesday, you're not going to get it all done before the post goes out. So make sure that you have all of that together and ready to go and you're not rushing. And then Wednesday, you're popping those things in the mail so they can catch the early mail. You don't want them to catch the late mail, because if you're doing it Saturday, it may not make it in time. Right. And mail doesn't deliver on Sunday unless it's an overnight thing. So make sure that you're getting those things set out no later than Wednesday morning. If you get them out Tuesday evening, that's even better. Even better, because you know everybody's going to get them. Mail yourself one so you know when they got them. So you know if they got late, right? Because if they're not getting them until Saturday, did they really have enough time for Sunday? Or if they didn't get them at all until Monday, I literally have mailed myself stuff and it didn't get to me on Monday. The people that were getting that on Monday missed my open house. Right. And that's how I knew, like, Wednesday morning is I'm not doing it any later than Wednesday morning. I'm getting everything together and I'm not mailing them out any later. So Wednesday, you're popping those things in the mail. If you want to do any door knocking, maybe you're printing out Wednesday, you're popping those things in the mail and you're printing out your flyers on Wednesday. Right. And then you're going to pass those out. Do some door knocking. Maybe Wednesday you're doing some phone calls and Thursday you're doing some door knocking, but you've got phone calls. You've got to sit down and make these phone calls and say, hey, just want to let you know, we're having this open house in the neighborhood. We're collecting for this, whatever, call it an open house event. We're collecting for this. And we're going to have some snacks. Yes, you'll be able to come by and get you a drink or whatever. But, if you know of anybody that wants to move in the neighborhood, bring them by. If you've looked at your list and you know that this is a lease person, because you're going to have a list for lease and a list for homeowners. So you're going to say something different to the lease people than what you're going to say to the homeowners. You're going to mail something different to the lease people than you're going to mail to the homeowners, right? When you're door knocking and doing flyers, it's far too much trouble to keep up with who's who. You're going to have a generic flyer that you're sticking on everybody's door, right?
What about ones that say no soliciting?
Don't do the ones that say no soliciting. I hear about it when you do those. If you are going to knock on a door of the one that says no soliciting, which is one reason that I say I only knock doors on the immediate neighbors, because I'm not soliciting. I'm just letting you know there's going to be higher traffic. If you have small children and pets, you will want to watch them more that day. Or I'm asking permission to put my sign in your yard, one or the other, right? I'm asking permission for something, or I am giving you a courtesy notice that this is what I'm doing, and you'll see more people in your neighborhood. So watch your kids and your animals. Courtesy notice, more traffic. That's all, right? Sometimes you might find, OMG, that's the same time I'm doing my kids' birthday party, right? And then you say, oh, great, I'll put cones in front of your yard so my people don't park there. Right? And you can go get these little orange cones, right? I'll put cones in front of your yard so people don't park there. You run down to Ace Hardware or whatever and buy those cheap ass little cones. You've done them a favor. They're just going to move those, or they're going to tell their people from their party, you can park there. The agent down the street did that so that her people wouldn't be parking there, right? So now you're not just a hero to her, but you're a hero to all of her people.
And then you put your logo on the cone.
Put your logo on the cone. I love this, Caesar. Great. Awesome. Right? So you are helping because you've just learned that that's the same. And immediately you have a solution. That's perfect. I'll put cones here so nobody parks here. Right? There are many snow cone vendors that you can use, even ice cream truck vendors that won't charge you anything because they're making money. Like, hey, would you mind parking over here at this particular place during these hours for my open house? Right? And now you're going to advertise, we're going to have a snow cone parked over there, a snow cone truck parked over there, or an ice cream truck parked over there. You can find these people that they're making money off of it. They don't mind parking right there. And you tell them, I'm going to send everybody over there to you, right? Or if you buy from this snow cone truck, bring me, whatever little ticket from the snow cone truck to show that you did, and I'll enter you for a drawing. Now you're helping the snow cone truck get more business, or ice cream truck get more business. And these people are only entered into a drawing if they bring you that ticket. Right? So you and your truck vendor can work together doing that. If it's during a game, we're going to have the game on, come catch the score. Right? So you can do that too. Most people won't leave their house if it's a big game, right? Don't do it during Super Bowl. That probably won't work unless you want people to be there for the entire Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Now you're having a Super Bowl party. That just changed the whole dynamics. So these are all ideas to get ready up to the day. Monday, you're picking your place. Tuesday, you're getting all of your print advertisement, your graphics, your social media stuff, and you're putting stamps on and address labels on all of your postcards that you're sending. Wednesday, Thursday, you are making your physical contacts, phone calls, flyers, door knocking, any of that stuff. Those are your physical contacts. Thursday, while you're in the neighborhood, go ahead and put flags, signs, and a flyer box in the yard. Put a sign that says open house Saturday or Sunday, whatever day you're doing it, right? Put a sign that says this is when it's going to be open, and put a flyer box that has your flyer in it, open Saturday from 4 to 7, whatever that looks like for you. Put your little flyer box out there. When you show up to do your open house, yank that flyer box out. You don't want people stopping by to grab a flyer and not going in, right? Every flyer that is in your flyer box is coming inside for the day of the open house. Okay. If you've got any leftover door knocking to do, you're going to do that on Saturday, right? Otherwise, Saturday, you are mapping out exactly where you're going to be putting your signs so that you have plenty of signs. Maybe you've done some of this through the week while you were at the house anyway, right? Friday and Saturday, map these out. Know exactly where you're going to put your signs and how long they can be there, the whole 9 yards. Most HOAs, most city ordinances are not going to allow open house signs to be placed overnight. You have to do it the day of. So, and give yourself an hour to put your open house signs out. Show up early to your open house. I highly, highly recommend turning your Facebook event into a Facebook Live so you can advertise that. An hour before we open to the public, we're going to have a Facebook Live for those of you that can't make it. I'm going to be in the house and I'm going to show you around the house and know the pieces that your seller is proud of, right? So if you're doing this for somebody else, you're going to say, what features does the seller really want me to advertise? Okay, by asking this question, this listing agent will now like you better to offer you other ones, right? EXP, as my understanding, is not allowing outside agents to do open houses for them anymore. So know that going in. If you see an EXP, like, don't call too many of them if you're getting no's, right? It's not just the agent, it's probably the company. But I think EXP they got sued, and I think they have a new rule that they're not allowing outside agents. You might occasionally get one that doesn't know that, slips you in. So I'm not saying don't call them. I'm just saying know that ahead of time. Anyway, so find out what features the seller wants to have advertised mostly, and make sure you do that for the seller. If there are certain things that the seller doesn't want to have done, make sure that you know that as well. If the house is occupied, make sure that the seller has moved all of their private papers and prescriptions and lock them away. Any weapons that they have, make sure all of that is locked away. If you're working with a listing agent, again, you're going to want to contact the listing agent. Hey, it's Friday or Saturday. We have our open house coming up. Just want to make sure that these things are done, right? That the house is going to be staged for us, so that they're going to be out of there an hour before the open house so that I have time to get in there. Because I'm going to do this Facebook Live event, whatever that looks like. And I want to get my stuff set up, so I want to have plenty of time.
One thing I want to mention.
Create
also,
a book. Go ahead, Caesar.
Oh yeah, I just want to mention another thing about when you're doing an open house, if the owners have some kind of surveillance system, as long as it
have a
doesn't
sign up. Yes.
as long as it doesn't have audio, it's completely illegal.
That's correct. And our listing agreement now, as well as the buyer's agreement, both warn sellers that they should contact their attorney, and buyers that they should also contact their attorney before taking any photos.
Okay.
You will also want to touch base, if it's not your listing, touch base with the listing agent to let them know that, to ask them if your visitors are allowed to take any photos or videography of the home, because you don't know what they're
one time I did an
have
open
a sign. If it is under video surveillance, definitely have a sign out front that says you may be recorded.
Right.
Go ahead, Caesar.
I was going to say, one time I did an open house, and literally the owners were 2 doors down.
Yeah,
watching us the whole time.
I believe it. Okay, I create a binder. This I normally create Wednesday, Thursday, typically while I'm making my phone calls. I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting here doing this while I'm making phone calls. It's busy work that you can do while you're making. Sometimes I like to multitask. Okay, wait. 99% of the time I like to multitask. So I create a binder. This first page of the binder is going to this piece right here. Because most binders have this plastic sheet right between the binder itself. So in this piece, I'm going to put the open house flyer information that has the specifics about the house, number of square feet, that kind of stuff, right? It can be the 360 view on your MLS, so that it has a little bit more information maybe. It could be the customer view flyer, or it could be your open house flyer, whichever you decide to do. I like to do the customer flyer on the MLS or the 360 view, because those give more information, okay? When I open this up, this is typically going to have, I'm going to show you this one. This is typically going to have my IABS is going to be the very first page, okay? I keep my IABS in a plastic sheet, and someone has borrowed and we cannot find my actual open house binder. So I think I'm gonna have to create a new one. I just haven't done it. But I use those plastic sheathings that you can buy that clip in, and I put my IABS in here, right up front. This means that I am right away showing everyone at the open house my IABS. If ever I had to sit in front of Trek, and they said this person came to an open house, did they receive the IABS? Yes, it was in my binder. Everybody got it, right? I also like to create a one of those flyer stands that you can use. I like to print out my about me, has my picture on there, has my logo, has all the accolades, how good Lori is at being your realtor. That's on one side of it, right? So if they want to take any information about me, they have this sheet of paper. Typically I have my cards right there with it, right?
Yeah.
So they're able to take those too if they want them. And I have magnets. I always take my magnets. You guys know how I am about magnets. I let everybody have my magnets. So I also have magnets sitting there. Sometimes they look at the card and then they go, oh, wait, you have magnets? I'll take a magnet, right? And they just take the magnet instead. Love that. Now, on the back side of my About Me page, I have my IABS. If they take an About Me page, they have my IABS. Doesn't matter when I'm asked that question, I can say, if I met them at open house, they did get my IABS. That happened. Happens every time. That is my policy, right? Create yourself policies for your business so that you can say, I do it the same way every time. And there's no discrimination here because I do it the same way every time, right? Okay, so this first page is my IABS. That's where I put that. And then whenever I have a divider in here, and then I flip over, and here you're going to have the seller's disclosures. Okay, so I'm going to have the seller's disclosures about this house is the next tab in my binder. Okay, the next tab in my binder is going to be the survey typically. Okay, so I'm going to have the survey as my next tab. And then after that, any other stuff that's interesting. In this case, I have Capital One will print off all of this cool stuff, right? So this is what's conveniently located around the area, okay? So that is my next tab. You might have school reports in here. You might have traffic reports. Look, Central Texas glamping. This is like, oh, you're new to the area. So Capital Title will put this thing together, and I have to, you see, here's the HOA information. Capital Title pulled all this information for me. I didn't have to go pull any of it. They had all of it taken care of for me. So I have a tab in here for HOA information because Capital Title pulled it for me, right? So here's your school ratings, all of this stuff, private schools in the area. So all of this stuff is readily available for people to flip through this book and get, okay? When I have Capital Title do this, I don't have to pull up any information about the area because Capital does it for me. Okay. Another thing that I'm going to have available is in my binder book, in the back of it, typically, I'm going to have printed out a contract, and I'm going to tuck it in this little sheet in the back, in the little pocket in the back, because if somebody wants to actually make an offer that day, I want to be prepared. Right? I don't want to say, oh, let me go home and put that together for you. I want to say, oh yeah, got you right here. All we have to do is fill out this information. I am ready. Okay. So I'm going to have that in here. I'm going to have neighborhood sold for the last 3 to 6 months, depending on how many are sold in that neighborhood. I'm going to have a sheet that shows every activity of that neighborhood for the last 3 to 6 months. Inevitably, you are going to have somebody walk in and say, oh, the house down the street just sold a month ago, and it's actually sold 6 months ago, right? Because nobody keeps track of time that way, right? And the seller said they got this much amount out of it, and you can look at your sheet and go, that's a little bit high or whatever. Diane, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, so I missed what you said. In the very back of that little binder, you put what in there?
A copy of a blank contract with that house information on it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I know everybody feels differently about this, and I'm trying to pull up in my head real quick what your policies and procedure manual says. If this is your house, you are holding an open house on, and you have a buyer come in, what are you going to do?
You are going to offer, I scarcely ever do open houses on my own listings for that reason. Because in that case, you would have to explain intermediary, and you would have to say, hey, when this is done, I'll meet with you, right? But you would have to explain intermediary to them, and you would have to say, my broker is most likely going to assign someone to represent you. I scarcely ever hold my own listings open for that reason. So if you are holding your own listing open, you just have to have that conversation. If they decide
I totally agree with you. I don't feel right doing that. So I just wanted to see what you were going to say on that, because I thought that I remember reading in your policies and procedures that is to be referred.
Yes, that is a totally, like, intermediary is a totally different conversation than doing our open house. And I'm going to give you this is what to say. If you are doing your own open house, you've got to let them know, I am representing the buyer. If you do not have representation, I can get someone for you. I'm sorry, the seller. And if you need representation, I can get someone for you, right? Sometimes buyers come in and say they want to represent themselves. You just have to get it in writing that they did not want representation, and we can fill that in the seller's, in the special provisions. Buyer was offered representation and declined. So if you are doing your own, then that is something to take into consideration.
So then will we fill out the offer for them?
Yes, and you can explain the offer to them, but only explain facts, right? You can give them a range. This is what we see commonly in the area. But you just repeat constantly, I highly recommend that you have someone represent you. I highly recommend that you have someone represent you.
Let me start recording the conversation.
So that they have the option, and they know they have that option, right?
In that kind of situation, you're not allowed to give them direction.
No, you cannot give them opinion or advice.
Exactly.
You can direct them to someone to give them opinion or advice.
Right, right.
But yeah, but you are only allowed to give them the facts. Like the option period is this. Typically in our area, we see 3 to 10 days for $100 to $350. Like, that's all. How much would you, right? You can explain the option period to them and give them a range. That's all you can do. I have a list in my binder. I have everything that's happened in the neighborhood, because inevitably somebody's going to bring up something that expired and they thought it sold. Something that was withdrawn and they thought it sold, right? So I have a list of everything that has happened in that neighborhood. Or they're going to say, it took them 3 months to sell that house. No, it actually only took 30 days for them to sell the house. It took 60 days for the buyer to close on the house, right? So you'll be able to have that information. I like to print out the showing sheet so that I can have specific information like that. So I do like to have that printed out in my book in the very, very back, just so that if somebody brings something up, I can look it up and I have the information to provide to them. Because they're going to ask. And if I'm supposed to be an expert, if you are farming an area, you should know right off the bat, there are this many listings in my farm. You should know there are this many pending in my farm. You should really know that at the drop of a hat any time of day, because you should be checking it almost every other day, weekly, something. I mean, you should know pretty good. If you've got a larger farm area, you may not know as close, but if your farm area is smaller, you may know exactly. And be able to say, oh, that one went under contract last week, right? Also in my binder, I have the showing information for all the actives in the area, because if somebody comes in and says, and I used to have this happen a lot whenever I was doing open houses. If somebody comes in and says, we've actually had our eye on the one across the street or the one on the other road or whatever, but we haven't been able to get in to see it yet. Okay, I can get that scheduled for you. Give me just a minute, right? And I can schedule it and go show it to them. Look, when I leave here, it's going to take me 10 minutes to pick up all my signs. I can meet you over there at 7:30, whatever that time looks like for you, right? But you can give them a time. I can meet you over there and show you that house. I also keep with me, I take to my open house, I'm going to have this set up with a bunch of pins for them to see. Share my screen. I also keep a survey. Welcome to our open house. And it's opening funny because it is opening in Google. I didn't open up the full one, I guess. I didn't notice that. My financial preference is I need a mortgage lender or I have a mortgage lender. How did you hear about the open house? This helps you determine what you're doing that is working. From a friend, from the MLS, my realtor, social media, whatever. Oh, this cash right here is supposed to be underneath the financial preference thing, clearly. And then this says indicate the price range of the home you're looking for. Maybe they walked in and discovered, because my price was not on my open house flyer, right? Maybe they walked in and discovered that this one was higher than what they thought. This, when are you wanting to move? Are you wanting to move immediately or only if you come across the right thing? Here's the piece that you are able to provide to the seller. What is your favorite feature of this home? And they're able to write down, OMG, I love the master bathroom. OMG, the fact that every room has a walk-in closet, right? What would you change about this house? I would take down that wall so it's no longer a galley kitchen, whatever. They're able to put in what they love and what they dislike about this house. It's going to do two things. It gives your seller the feedback of what buyers in their area and in their price range are looking for. Okay, so you're able to give feedback back to I said buyer, I meant seller. You're able to give feedback back to the seller. Okay, the listing agent that you are doing the open house for is going to love that they're getting this feedback. Okay, all right. And then rate the house, right? 5 excellent, or no improvement needed. So you're rating that. Interior of the home. This is typically on the first page. This, do you have a preferred realtor? It goes on the back page. Flip over. There you go. That back side. Okay. So you're getting their opinion on the interior and exterior presentation of the home. Now, we need to know, you know, if a bunch of people are marking the exterior presentation as a 1, we probably need to work on our curb appeal, right? And maybe they put a suggestion. What would you change about this home? You know, I would take down those big ugly shrubs in the front, you know, whatever. I mean, you could be hearing something like that, get the weeds out of the front yard or, you know, whatever. But this gives them an opportunity to actually rate the home. This is feedback for you to provide to the seller. Okay. The reason that that is all on the front sheet is so the seller doesn't have to see, do you have a preferred realtor? Would you like to know the current value of your home? This backside of this, here's their contact information. This backside is for me. This is my lead generating. That's what this is, okay? During the conversation, I've tried to have enough of a conversation that they want something from me when I leave, okay? I never, ever, ever take extra seller's disclosures with me. I only have the one that's in my binder. They can flip through it, but I never take an extra one with me because I want to have to provide that to them. I can send that to you, right? I can send that to you. Any information you want, I can send that to you. I can send that to you, right? If they're asking for anything outside of this neighborhood, I can send that to you. I can run an entire search in your price range and send that to you because I want to touch them again. I want to give them something to want from me. So this is them being there is just the first hook. That is just me fishing, right? So this is my lead gen page. This is what I'm keeping for myself. And I'm going to take this information home with me and add them to my database, okay? But this first page is all for the seller. Second page, the back side, this is all for me, okay? So none of this information ever goes on the front page, but I also don't want to have the survey without it. Okay. And so during my conversation, sometimes I might say, well, just whenever you fill out the survey, just flip that over and put your contact information in there for me. And then whenever they do, I read it back to them so that I can read their handwriting. Okay. Now, if you are Mackenzie, are you there? Can you correct me if I'm wrong about this? I believe that our website offers us an option to do this on the website, and so that they are entering their information directly into their own CRM. Am I correct on that? I have not found it on our new website yet.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, ma'am. I believe that our website allows us to collect their contact information directly and have like this information that where they're able to have like an open house contact information sheet.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Would you like me to show that real quick?
We can do if it's really, really quick, we can do it really quick because I haven't gone through any of our conversation of the open house. So yes, we could do that really quick.
Okay. Let me share my screen
Go
real
ahead.
quick.
I need to stop share. Go ahead.
So it's called an open house form on Lofty. It's under this marketing tab right here on the top. If you go over to the left, you're going to scroll down. It has a bunch of tools. We're going to go to open house forms. I've already done kind of a test. There's different questionnaires that you can choose from. We have just the default questionnaire that they gave us. We have one that me and Lori kind of did together, a
Similar
classic
to this
open
one.
house.
Mhm.
It will look like this. There'll be a picture of the house that you're doing open house for, and it has all this information. What's your name, email, phone number, all the questions.
We tried to get this one as similar to matching our hard copy as we could.
Yes. And then we also have a realtor feedback form, which is for more of those open houses that realtors are coming to. If you're doing, those house tours that the associations do, this is kind of more for realtors because the questions are different from asking clients. But yeah, this is what it looks like. It's really easy to make. All you do is, it pulls in all the pictures from the MLS. But I can show you what this would look like. You can either have it on, you can have this QR code printed out if you want. You can set up your computer just like this and have it on the counter, or like a tablet or something. It'll have your information down here and a little picture of the house. People can scan this QR code with their phone and fill out the form on their phone, or they can click here and fill in the form just on the device that you have for them. They fill it out, and then they hit submit, and all of this information, their name, email, all their answers will go directly to your backend in Lofty. So it's super easy to like see what the consensus was about all these questions, and you also get to capture their information straight into your CRM. So yeah, super easy to make one. All you do is put in the address, it'll pull up the address on the MLS, and you get to pick the questionnaire, all of that. You can share with anyone if you would like, and then you
And
can
the
also
first time you do this, you can always call Mackenzie and she can help walk you through it.
Yes, yes. You can also select, do you want to send them a welcome email to register them to the site? Do you want to send a welcome text? And do you want to register them as team leads? And that's it. Super
Very
easy.
nice.
And this is
Super
for
nice.
just via the houses, right?
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
via-
And we
And
do
then
realtor
Lori-
tours too a lot, so that's also for that.
Tomorrow I'm doing a lease open house, and then Saturday I'm doing a fine.
Got it. Go ahead, Diane, you had something?
Yes, I was just gonna say that, I didn't have another device to take to the open house that we did, but what I did is I printed out that QR code on a paper, put it in one of those display frames, and had the people just come in and scan that.
Beautiful, beautiful. That is awesome. Great news. So yeah, our new website offers a lot of interesting techie things. So that's always really good. Okay, I'm gonna stand up for a minute. I'm tired of sitting. I wish I had something. Oh, great. That's not. Okay. Yeah. This so much I prefer standing while I teach. I have to get myself, I really need one of those devices that raises up. Okay, so when we are actually going into our open house, we got our signs put out. Thursday, we went out there and put out whatever flags or balloons and open house and our flyers and all of that. Okay, I'm the morning of my open house, I'm coming out, I'm putting out these signs. I grab all of my flyers, I go inside, I set up my binder, I set up my box for whatever collections I'm having, set up my little place where I'm going to sit. I've set up my QR code. Maybe I have a tablet that I'm going to have people sign into. I've set that up. Whatever that looks like, you're getting your snacks, your drinks, all of that set up so that you are completely comfortable. Okay. Now let's say you had a question.
I was gonna say, what kind of snacks do you do? Because I end up with a lot of donuts left over.
I typically take, since COVID, I have started taking pre-wrapped snacks, right? So I'll do granola bars or pre-wrapped cookies, in small little serving size things, whatever, anything like that. Because since COVID, people don't want, or maybe you can do little cups with 3 grapes in them, if you wanted to do something healthier, or little cups with a couple of carrots and a piece of celery, you could do stuff like that.
Okay.
So whatever kind of snacks that you want, that way you don't have yeah. I never had any luck with donuts. I never had luck. I never had luck with donuts. But those serving size things more so. Or mint candy. People will take a mint candy a lot. So, and then a thing of water. They will always take water.
Okay.
Right.
Like little mini bottles.
I typically go with the mini bottles. Yes.
And then
So,
also there's these strips you can buy where you can take off the strip from the water bottle, and then you can put your own strip on it that has your logo and your phone
right.
number.
You can personalize your water bottles.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've
Absolutely.
also had some people, I used to do snacks at the open houses, and the parents told them specifically not to take the snacks.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's very true. So, and that's why sometimes a variety, but I keep it down to a limit, right? Like if you have 10 people and only 3 are going to take a snack, what is that going to look like, right? So I just keep it down to a minimum. I really do. I might have 10 snacks, 5 of them are this and 5 of them are that, and then a bowl of mints.
Okay.
I like doing the big
Chewy ones.
Mhm. Or the chocolate mints. I love the chocolate mints. York peppermint patties are very, very popular. I don't know
That's a,
why. Every time I take Yorks and put them in a bowl, they are gone.
that's a
Christine?
great idea. I never thought of that.
Go ahead, Christine.
Okay, sorry, I think I'm muted. There we go. So what I was doing when I was selling my house, I was doing treats for the kids, small bottled waters and coupons because I was still working in the restaurant. So they
Nice.
remember who I am. So it's like kids eat free coupon. And I'd write on the back, open house, so I knew how to track them. And I had a few people come in and use them. So I was like,
Nice.
I just thought get my name out there.
Yeah, that's good. Very good idea. Yeah.
That is a fantastic idea.
And if you know of someone or if you have a friend that has a restaurant or has, anything like that that you could use at your open houses, definitely do that. Make those business connections so that you can help grow somebody else's business and they can help grow yours. And then whenever they're wanting to, buy a space or lease a space or, they know of a friend that's wanting to buy something, you've just grown your own database as well because they're helping you grow your business. So great ideas. So we've put our signs out, got all of my stuff set out that I want to have set out in my open house. And I pulled my flyers inside, put the flyer box in my car so nobody even has to know there was a flyer box there. It's not an empty flyer box. Don't leave that in the yard. That just looks tacky. So that's in my car. My flyers are in the house. I'm getting set up, and now I'm going to do my Facebook Live, right? So I get my Facebook Live started. It's easier if you have somebody walk with you. I have done it on my own. It looks more professional if you have somebody walk with you. So you're going to first introduce yourself. Hey, it's Lori. I promised you a moment of Facebook Live. Maybe a little bit before you want to have an automated message, right? You can schedule these messages to go out. Hey guys, don't forget, I'm going to be doing my Facebook Live of this house at this time, right? So maybe you want to do that. And so you're going to introduce yourself. Hey, this is what's going on. And you're going to then turn the camera to the house and highlight especially the pieces that the seller has said was so important to them. So you're going to walk through, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what you love, guys. Or let me know if you want me to zoom in on anything, right? You're going to be repeating this stuff a little bit along because you're going to have other people join in late and this, that, and the other. So you may have to repeat a little bit along. Give yourself 30 minutes or so to go through your Facebook Live piece, okay? And then once you open the doors, you've logged off of Facebook Live, walked around the house and shown the house, answered whatever questions anybody might have, encourage them to love on the things that they love, right? So once your Facebook Live is off and you're doing your live open house, when someone comes into the door, the thing that you want to make sure that you say to them is, one, you're going to introduce yourself as not representing the seller or representing the seller. Okay. So you can offer your hand to shake their hand, whatever. Hey guys, come on in. My name's Lori. I'm with Classic Realty. This, let's see, I'm not representing the seller in this case. I could potentially be your agent if you are interested in purchasing this home or any other home. I've offered my hand to shake their hand. Now I'm going to give them a layout of the land, okay? Back here to the left is all the way in the back is the master bedroom and bathroom. This hallway off to the left-hand side leads to the secondary bathroom and 2 bedrooms. Over here on the right-hand side, you've got first the extra large office and then the kitchen. And of course, right behind me is the living room, right? So you're going to kind of give them the layout of the land. That way, when they go upstairs, they're not wondering, well, where's the master bedroom? Right? They're not wondering, which way do I go? You have given them a verbal layout of the land. So if there's something specific that they want to see, like if it doesn't meet this, then I can't, right? I've got 2 teenage daughters that need walk-in closets. Maybe the first place they're going to go is upstairs, if that's where the secondary bedrooms are, to look at the closets to see if that's going to fit their needs. And if not, then we're out, right? So ask them that. And then say, when you get done, I've got surveys here for the seller so we can give them some feedback so they know how better to sell this house, right? Come back and fill out my surveys for me. And then I let them kind of roam. Now, if you have an occupied place, you can't really just let them roam. This is where having your lender there as your second person, okay, one, they helped you with your feedback, your Facebook Live. 2, they can help you when you get busy, monitor and oversee everyone that is there, right? So that if you have an occupied home, somebody is there making sure that medicine wasn't taken out of the cabinet, or somebody isn't rummaging through drawers, stuff like that. I tell my sellers all the time, any of your personal things should be put in your personal things, like your dresser, right? People are going to come into your home and open the drawers that are attached. So don't have your private papers and your stuff in the drawers that are attached. Put that stuff in your personal stuff. There's no reason for somebody to walk into your house and open your dresser drawer, but there's every reason for them to open the bathroom cabinet, right? So all of your personal stuff should be in your personal stuff. So if you have that lender with you, that lender is able to help you kind of go and not follow. You want to keep a good distance. It's very much like your realtor safety stuff. Stay out of arm's reach, right? But keep a good distance, but be there so that you can see if someone is leaving with some of the seller's belongings, right? You don't want to be the one responsible for that if it is an occupied open house. So during the time that they're previewing, especially if it's an owner occupied and you're having to be there, you might say something like, how long have you guys been looking? How long have you lived in the area? You might just ask some of those curious questions, right? I'm a realtor, I'm curious about these things, right? They're just curious questions. They're not closing questions. They're not intruding questions. They're just, what school do the kids go to? That might be a little bit intrusive depending on the person, that kind of, go ahead.
So one thing, like when I was looking at YouTube's on this kind of stuff, they said when you're asking about the realtor, you don't say, hey, do you work with a realtor?
No.
You say, who's your realtor?
Right. So, and this is one of the things that I work into the conversation, right? How long have you been looking? And then, do you love this about the house? Do you love that about the house? You always, always, always say at some point when like, this does not work for me about this particular house. You always are going to say, I know one that's coming on the market. Can I send it to you or should I send it to your realtor? You always find a space to put that phrase into your open house to every person that walks in. Okay, so you're going to ask, is the master bedroom big enough for your furniture? Is the kitchen big enough? Is the dining room big enough? Anything like that kind of leads them into what they are looking for. Always find a way to say, or even, is the yard large enough? Do you have any animals? Is the yard large enough for your big old lap? Whatever it is, you're going to find a way to say that. Find some way to say to them at some point while they are there, I know of one that's coming on the market. Should I send it to you? Do you want me to send it to you or should I send it to your realtor? be sure to put your realtor's name on the survey when you fill it out, so I can do that. Boom and done. Now I know if they don't have a realtor, this right here requires them to be honest. You didn't give pause right through. It was all one sentence without taking a breath. Take a deep breath before you start opening your mouth.
I'll bring you to my open house.
And here's the thing, guys, if you don't practice this to yourself several times, you're gonna stutter when you're in front of them. Don't practice in front of them. You're gonna sound like an idiot standing in the shower saying this to yourself all over the place. When you get out, just tell your husband, tell your mama, yeah, no, I was practicing for my open house Sunday, right? Whatever. Stand in front of the mirror and say it to yourself 100 times. Do it while you're driving down the road. You drive a bus, I bet it's empty some of the times. Right? So, but do it while you're driving down the road, but say it out loud to yourself enough times that it's very easy. Should I send it to you, or there's one coming on the market. I can send the information to you, or should I send it to your realtor?
So if you don't know about one coming onto the market.
You'll find one. They're always coming on the market. There will be coming one on the market. You'll find one that came on the market.
I'm gonna get one that's on the market.
You'll find one. Like, they don't stop coming on the market. You don't have to know about it right then. You can go look that thing up. But that also gives you a reason to touch them again in a week when this one came on the market. Okay? They are always coming on the market, so you can always say that. What else can I tell you? So you're asking, you know, when it gets to be a little bit quiet, that uncomfortable silence, and then you can bring in another question. Did you find a lender? Or are you planning on buying this in cash? Or how do you plan on financing it? I've got some good lenders for this area that can get you USDA. I've got some really, really good lenders that can help with the down payment part of it. Right? Whatever that conversation. Now, if you are in a neighborhood that is 500 plus or 700 plus, you probably don't want to mention I can get you DPA, because they're probably not in that position, right? If you're in 300, 350 and lower, Diane, Evan, for your areas, whatever those numbers look like. But if you're in the lower end markets where people may use starter homes, where people may use those DPAs, that's a good time to mention, hey, my lender is really, really great at DPAs. Or you could say, like, I have overheard people talking about, I'm not in love with the floors. I've got a really great guy that can help get those replaced, help get this thing measured and get those replaced for you at a really, really good deal. He's done all of my flip houses, right? Boom. I just offered them something beyond, hey, let me help you buy a house. I'm not just helping you buy a house. I'm not a car salesman. I'm not here just to make you sign on a piece of paper and buy a house.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, wait,
There are
wait.
so many other things that I can help you with, right? Which is why the book is not just about the house. Most people are not just looking for the house. They're looking for something that fits into their lifestyle, or the lifestyle that they dream of, the lifestyle that they
Customer
want to
service.
create for their family. Right? So having those, like, it's building rapport. It's getting them to open up and feel comfortable talking to you. That is the biggest piece to having what I call a successful open house, is when I come home with lead papers, where I'm adding people to my database because I've got their contact information. That is a successful open house to me. Not, I had 7 people come through, it was great. How many of them did you get contact information for? None? It was not great. I mean, yes, it was great for the seller, but it didn't do what you needed it to do.
Right.
Right? Now, the seller believes that you're there to sell their house, especially if you are being recorded. Make sure that you do that. right?
Right.
Especially if you're being recorded. So know if there are cameras, because if there are cameras, you have to first hear the rebuttal before you can say, I know of another one, right? First, you have to hear this wouldn't work for us because, right? First, you have to offer them options of, okay, what if it was like this, right? Or sometimes, especially if you're being recorded, you might say, okay, curious question. If this was the perfect house, like if this just swooned you, how much would you be offering? Right? Curious question, right? And then you might hear, oh, I think it's way overpriced, right? You might hear somebody say, actually, I'd offer more than what they got to listen at, that's for sure. And this is a great deal, right? So, and you might hear, I'd never make an offer on this house because this doesn't work for me. Typically, they're going to give you, they're not going to just, most people are not just going to give you a no without a because, right? They want to justify it so they don't seem like a meanie. So typically asking a question like, okay, so I'm just curious. If this house like really swoons you, how much would you offer on? Curious question. And that can open up the conversation. If they're going to say no, they're going to give you a because.
You really have the facial expressions down.
You got to practice.
You
You have got to practice. And it has to be conversational.
Yeah.
It can't be script. Every script you have has to be turned into a conversation. But this is just how to build rapport. I'm only here to discuss. I'm only here to provide information. I am not a used car salesman trying to shove something down your throat. However, I am psychologically building your trust so that when you are ready to buy a house, you're calling me, right? No, you're not telling them that. You're just, but that is what you're doing. That is what you're doing. Okay. But you're mentioning the survey more than once so that they come back and you tell them, I've got a survey sheet out there, just feedback for the seller so that the seller knows what people's, I'm sorry, everybody. Michelle just turned her computer around to me and showed me that she just created her open house QR code for this weekend. Good job. So apparently it's that easy. You can even multitask and get it done. Good job. So you're going to be mentioning the survey. So almost as soon as they walk in, like once you tell them the layout of the land and they start heading off that way, oh yeah, when you get finished, come by here and fill out this feedback form for the sellers so that, I can give them a little bit of feedback about what's working and what's not working with this house, right? And then during COVID or when there are high COVID times, having a survey sheet and say, hey, for this, or if it's an occupied property, even you could get away with this. For the seller's security, would you do me a favor and sign in right here? And that's just your ordinary sign-in sheet. You haven't really built rapport. All you did was get their name and number, and you're probably not going to get as much of a feedback response from them
We definitely want to
when
do
you
that.
follow up with them later, right? They're probably, oh yeah, that's just that girl, right? Oh, how many open houses did we go to? It's one of them, right? So, but if you're building rapport with them, then it's easier to get it and they're going to remember you. And when you do contact them later, they are more likely to respond to your contact, whether it's by phone or email or text or whatever. Okay. So building the rapport ensures your likelihood of getting a response from them. You can use for the seller's security and they will put their contact information down there, but they only did it for that reason. And they might put a bogus contact information down. Who knows? But that does work. It just does not work for the purpose that you're wanting it, right? You're wanting that contact information because you want to work with them. You've got to build rapport, and you have all of the 5 minutes, 10 minutes that they're in that house to build their rapport, to be the nice person, right? To have a conversation. If they've got kids with them, talk to those kids. Hey, don't walk up and say, hey, what school do you go to? Because that can be creeper. But you might, hey, I like your outfit. Hey, you're wearing baseball. My grandson plays baseball, right? I mean, did you just come from a game? Did you win? You know, I mean, whatever to build that rapport. If they're wearing a Spider-Man shirt, you just fell in love with Spider-Man. Whatever. So can you tell I have mostly boys? Could be Frozen, and then you just fell in love with Frozen. But be genuine, be authentic, and make a connection in some way. Make some sort of connection. Look, I had somebody come into an open house one time, and she like was standing there in the office that could have been a dining room and looking around and like, and she'd stand on one side and she'd stand on the other side. And I finally just said, what are you trying to fit in here? And she told me it was a quilting loom. And I said, you know what? I've got a measuring tape out in my car. Let's measure it right now. I walked out to my car. Always have a measuring tape in your car, right? It's helpful for your buyers, but it's also helpful for stuff like this. I walked out to my car. She knew the exact measurements of her loom, right? And we measured it out. Her loom was not going to fit in that house. That house was not an option for her. And I said, but you know what? I can preview this. She was about to go back home. I said, I can preview these houses and send you a list of places that have rooms that your loom will fit in or options for your loom to fit into something. It's about building that rapport, knowing they've got something on their mind and build that rapport so you can get their information. Okay? Any other questions? Hopefully while you're there, you're scheduling appointments for when you leave. So that after you pick up your signs, you're going to show a house. During your lull period is when you're texting the other agent, can I show this at this time? Or you're texting the seller, can I show this at this time? Right? So the goal ultimately is to get those buyers while you're there, building the rapport. In your head, go through every potential conversation that you could have with buyers. Things you could ask them about, anything like that. Make it conversational. The people that are good at open houses are the ones that can have a conversation with anybody, right? Those people that you say, oh my God, they can walk up to a stranger and have a conversation, right? I never meet a stranger. Everybody has something that we can talk about. Every person I've ever met has something that we can talk about. So that is the piece to really being successful at open houses. If anyone that is listening to this goes through really trying to grow themselves in this way and is unable to get to that point, it may just be that open houses are not the way you're going to grow your business. Find another one. Open houses don't have to be the way you grow your business, but you do have to be conversational to build rapport. And in order to grow your business at open houses, you also have to know that neighborhood when you walk in, because trust me, the people walking into an open house know that neighborhood. They've been looking in that neighborhood and they probably know that neighborhood. You're also going to have those out of towners who are like, oh no, just kind of scouting out the neighborhood to see if we want to move here. I have turned that into a sale. Took a year and a half to get them down here, but I have turned that into a sale because I was, okay, well, I'll send you information about this neighborhood. I'll send you information about this neighborhood, whatever, to stay within the radius of where her sister was living. And just kept them on a drip of information for, a week at a time for a while. Bye, Diane. She said thanks. Okay. Any other questions or anything else that you want to discuss or know about in doing your open houses? Leave promptly, especially if the home is occupied. Leave promptly. If you are having a conversation, with a buyer at the time that it is time for it to end. Simply look at the buyer and say, I'm going to be collecting my stuff out of respect to the seller while we talk, right? And give the seller 30 minutes after. So that gives you some time to handle any lengthy conversations and get your stuff picked up.
Okay, on that perspective, at my last open house, not the last one, the one before that, it was time for me to pick up. I was gathering all my things when like 4 different families decided to stop by when it's time for me to go.
Right. Was it occupied?
No.
Okay, then that one I would not worry about. Okay, that one I would let it go. Like, my signs are still out there, everything. I would set all my stuff back up and say, oh, sweet, we're doing this a little bit longer then. Great, no problem. I'm game. That, I mean, that's exactly what I would do. If it was occupied, I would say, hey guys, we only have like 10 more minutes and the seller's going to expect their phone back. That's what I would say.
Okay.
I can answer any of your questions really, really quick, but that lets them know, save up to $750 on a new Galaxy 2024. Yeah, look, even Samsung knows that I need a new phone. At any rate, everybody knows. So yeah, if it's occupied, and they will appreciate the fact that you are being respectful of somebody else, because if you're being respectful of the seller, you're probably going to be more respectful of them too, right?
Mhm.
So it just lets them know we need to look and not linger, right? But give them exactly how much time they have. I would give them the layout of the land and then say, oh, and I didn't realize the time. We have 10 more minutes before the seller is going to expect their home back. So,
Hurry. No. In the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that's what I'll do.
yep. But if it's vacant, and
Yeah,
I mean,
say-
just stick
Yeah.
around and sell what you can, get all the information, add them to your database, the whole 9 yards.
But I locked my phone inside.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And you could leave it from.
Okay, guys.
I was just gonna say real quick, one of the things I would do in my open houses is, over the years, is I would put out 12 to 15 signs. And what I would do is print out a map from the MLS, and I would already picture out which direction the signs are gonna go
Yes.
ahead
Yes,
of time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I say 10 is a really, really good number. If you can find a space to put 10 signs and have several of them even on one road if you need to make sure you get people
And
there.
I would go out very early in the morning, then I could come back home, relax a little bit, take a shower, get all dressed up for the open house.
Got it. Nice. So you obviously did open houses close to your house.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
They were at different distances, but yeah.
All right.
But
All
anyway,
right, guys.
I just wanted to share that, impart that
Good
little.
luck on all of your open houses. Go get some leads from them and build your database.
I'm working on it.
All right.
You have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.